One day I'm gonna be everything I wanna be. I don't let it get the most of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be everything I'm gonna be. My future right in front of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be free. So let me be free.
From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges. A host with a fire burning in his soul. With a heart, steel, and a spirit unbroken. He rides on two wheels, ready to claim his throne. Amidst the chaos and the thunderous roar, insane wheels rise as a force to be reckoned with. Fueled by the power that only metal can bestow, he takes his stand, refusing to submit. Insane wheels hear his battle cry. Metal and mayhem will never die. Rituals report he pays his way. More legend in the making, day by day.
Man, good morning to all of you freaking legends out there. Let's freaking get it this morning. Happy Monday morning, and we've got a lot to discuss, as you guys have probably assumed, if not saw, that there was a ton of shit going on in the Middle East in the last 48 hours, if not longer, of course, since I've last seen you guys and we discussed these kind of situations going on in Iran. So the way that we have this labeled for this morning is Iran selects new supreme leader, as well as Operation Epic Fury updates and Trump remarks and top stories. So our chronological timeline is actually going to go ahead and start from Saturday morning. Nonetheless, U.S. has struck 3,000 plus targets in Iran, CENTCOM says. Now that came out 2 days ago. I'm sure that we're way up above 3,000 at this point, but that's what it was being reported. Then we have Trump says Iran will be hit hard today as strikes intensify. And I do believe that happened on, I can't remember if that happened on Friday or Saturday. It's one of the two. I just can't remember. And then Trump reassigns Kristi Noem as Mullen tapped for DHS. What? So we have a DHS shakeup. Trump picks Senator Mullen as new secretary, but reassigns Noem. Definitely interesting. So we have an update on U.S. troops that have been lost. We have an update of now 6 U.S. troops killed in strike, brought home in dignified transfer. And then we have video shows massive flames, thick smoke engulfing Tehran, which is like their major city, if not capital of Iran. And then we have U.S. service member dies after attack in Saudi Arabia amid Iran conflict. What? Early reports this weekend indicate another U.S. service member has died amid ongoing military operations against Iran. This loss follows a recent attack in Saudi Arabia, according to U.S. Central Command. According to the Post from CENTCOM, quote, last night, a U.S. service member passed away from injuries received during an Iranian regime's initial attack across the Middle East. The service member was seriously wounded at the scene of the attack on U.S. troops in the United Kingdom of Saudi Arabia on March 1st. Now, as you guys know, today is the 9th. So he must have succumbed to his injuries yesterday. So he had 7 days of suffering. That's terrible, man. And then we have the new named person that will be the supreme leader. Now, I can't pronounce this guy's name. I'm sorry. But it's the Ayatollah's son or whatever, former supreme leader's son named successor. Now, that is the official coming out just 16 hours ago. We were talking about it and kind of speculating that he would be the successor, but now it's official. And then we have, of course, I'm sure that you guys, if you guys were out and about this weekend, you probably noticed when you went to go fill up your car as you're driving around, you saw the gas prices are extremely high. They're going up. Now, of course, this is nothing new in warfare, especially when the United States is involved with the the Middle East. Anytime that there's shutdown of any type of shipping lanes, now you have your global transfers are not happening as they used to. So we're being affected definitely. And then, of course, oil prices soar as Iran names new supreme leader. I'm sure that is all following, right? NYC officials address IEDs found outside Gracie Mansion. Gracie Mansion. It says New York City officials confirmed Sunday that 2 devices recovered during protests near Gracie Mansion. I think that's how you say it. A day earlier were improvised explosive devices, IEDs. A third suspicious device was also found Sunday afternoon in a vehicle in Manhattan in connection with the investigations, officials say. And then we're going to end this off with oil prices surpass $100 a barrel for the first time since 2022. Now, that is true. Our gas prices, oil, how much we usually pay is anywhere from like $50 to like $70. It's always kind of in that range. I always say, yeah, it's about $65 or whatever. Now we're looking at $100 a barrel. So, and it's actually past that. It's like 108 or 110. I can't remember. But nonetheless, much love, honor, respect to everybody. Hopefully you all are enjoying your morning so far. Thank you all for being here. We got Pablo coming in, becoming a member, by the way. Very much appreciate that, kind sir. I think you've been a member, but I don't know why it says that you're a new member. I think you told me it was something to do with your card or something like that, but I very much appreciate you. Thank you for that. And great to see everyone in the chat, by the way. We've got a lot going on. So real quick, before we say hi to everybody, let's go ahead and do our call to action so we'll get right into all the madness of this morning. So please make sure you guys come in and hit that like button. It helps out the show immensely, and it's free to do so. If you guys are brand new to the channel, this is what we do Monday through Friday, and at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. For an hour, we consolidate all the world's madness in a single hour per day. And then we have Saturday morning for members only, man. So make sure you guys join up on all of that. Now, talking about memberships, please consider becoming a member, starting only at $3.99 a month. Making sure we're not breaking the bank out there with anybody, but check it out. This is what allows us to have these lights on as well as be on these airwaves. So thank you guys for becoming members and staying members. Little side note here, follow my Instagram at BallValveTV, where I post everything behind the scenes of not only my life, but as well as the show, Millennial Food Time, breaking news, the campaign trail. It's a great place to get a hold of me one-on-one. We also have a Discord server for all of you legends to continue these conversations all in our server together. Go in the video description down below of any live video. It will have the invite link for the Discord server. And last but not least, all super chats, super stickers, gifted memberships, and membership signups are, of course, all going to be presented live and shouted out onto the show. But if you guys would like to skip that YouTube 30% brutal cut that they take from your hard-earned cash, we have these platforms scrolling around the screen. And, of course, you guys can donate there, and I'll read out loud anything that comes our way, just like a super chat. I've got my email up, so we're ready to go at all times. Thank you guys for all being here. I see all the legends in here. Much love, honor, respect to you guys. We got Easy Frank as well as Prez. We got Gary as well as Steve Posey. Good morning to you guys. We got Rabbit of Chaos. Thank you guys for being here with us. We got Scramble North as well. We got Brother TVT. We got Desert Outlaw. And thank you, by the way, to Sick Bastard for the raid this morning. I very much appreciate that. We got Kinetic Kel in the building. Shout out to you as well. Good morning to you. We got Warlearner as well. We got, I think, Bads, T-Monkey. Great to see you in the chat. We got Jimmy Mack as well. And we're going to pretty much have to get right into this, guys. We got too much going on here to just kind of go ahead and chalk it up. We got Miss Lotus as well. Good morning to you. Scrolling down as fast as I possibly can. We got Chatting with Stacks as well. Zip Tie. Good morning to you guys. Thank you very much for being here. We're scrolling down. We got Dylan Patterson as well. Appreciate you. Good morning, good sir. All right, let's get right into this, ladies and gentlemen. There's a lot going on. We have to get right into it.
All right, let's get the latest on the conflict in Iran. Caroline Shively.
Yes, sir. And we got Alabama Moose in the chat. Roll Tide. Great to see you in the chat, my man Seth. Good morning. We got Tiffany as well. Thank you guys for being here.
With this report.
By the way, we have 109 people in here. I know that there's a lot of chaos going on in the world. You don't have to like the video for all of that crap, but you guys can like the video for me and what we do here. So double tap the screen if you're on the vertical side and hit that like button if you're on the horizontal. I very much appreciate your laborious work on that.
While the U.S. is calling its military engagement in Iran a resounding success, Iran says it's prepared to dig in for the long haul.
What's up, Mr. Al Patterson? Great to see you in the chat.
President Trump, speaking to Fox on Friday, says defense contractors are ramping up production for Operation Epic Fury. CENTCOM reports striking more than 3,000 targets in Iran over the last week. President Trump on Friday said he's seeking an unconditional surrender.
We are achieving the military objectives of this operation, and that is going to continue because the United States military is the best and most lethal fighting force in the world.
She's right about that. And real quick, we got Brother Straight Jacket in the chat. I guess he's going up in the air, man. So travel safe, man.
Iran says it launched another flurry of ballistic missiles at Israel. One over the West Bank dropped what appeared to be cluster munitions, but there were no reports of any casualties. Meanwhile, Israel continues to bombard Beirut as part of its campaign against Iranian-backed Hezbollah. Nearly 100,000 there have fled following evacuation warnings. The first U.S.-sponsored charter flights arrived back on American soil this week. A pair of Maryland high school students who got stuck on a layover after a class trip.
What's up, Charlie? Good morning. Right now, we're reporting our very first story here. Over the weekend, I think this started actually on Friday, if not Saturday. I can't really remember. It's actually Saturday, I think. Nonetheless, U.S. has struck 3,000 plus targets in Iran. CENTCOM has reported, Central Command, but this is, in a chronological order from what has happened over the weekend. I'm sure that number's higher.
Spoke to Fox about their ordeal.
A lot higher.
All our phones went off with these alarms, and we heard explosions and stuff.
We saw one missile intercepted. That was pretty cool.
The president also predicted oil prices would come back down once the war ends. According to AAA, the average price for a gallon of gas is now $3.32. That's up from $2.98 a week ago. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
Fox News. I hate when they do that shit.
The latest on the conflict in the Middle East. Professor Alon Burstein of the Israel-Palestine Report is here with me. A lot to discuss tonight.
And we really don't need to actually get into this discussion. We just want to know that, essentially what is being stated here, that 3,000 plus targets in Iran have been struck. And real quick, we got my man Jack Talcott in the building. Shout out to my man. Hopefully you're enjoying your morning as well. Blessings all around. Great to see you, bro.
Border with Pakistan. This is groups. There's a conglomeration of different groups. The Liberation Movement of Baluchistan. Basically, it's a bunch of groups that are fighting for the Baluchistan region, which is a region on the eastern side of Iran that is partly in Iran, partly in Pakistan. They have also carried out insurgency attacks against Iran.
What's up, brother Steve Easy? My man, good morning.
Over the years. And theoretically, they could also now try to take advantage and engage. But those are really the two big groups that are armed. There is a lot of hope within the United States and Israel is that the protesters themselves, not necessarily armed, but that they will rise up as well. Now, if that happens, the regime has proven that we will see a massive crackdown and possibly mass executions as part of this. But there are sort of two avenues that I think Israel and the United States are hoping that will not be the case. One is if there is mass protest, Israel and the United States are really hoping that enough security forces in Iran will refuse to repress them, that they'll see that in the end the rebellion's going to win. Israel and the United States are bombing them back to the Stone Age, and they'd rather lay down arms. That's why Trump has said that the Iranian soldiers should appeal to the United States in order to defect and things like that. So that's one.
Well, we already know all that shit, so we're going to move on. We had this breaking 2 days ago. Trump says Iran will be hit hard today as strikes intensify. And yes, we already do know that happened. But to keep in a chronological order, this is a short little update. Let's go ahead and hear it. And then we'll get right into, actually, believe it or not, Kristi Noem. Trump reassigns Kristi Noem as Mullen TAP for DHS. What the fuck?
This is Tehran over in Iran as the U.S. and Israel this morning continue their strikes, part of Operation Epic Fury. They are targeting the IRGC and other Iranian regime strongholds. You can see the smoke right there rising, as it has been really over the past several days since this all began about a week ago. Now, we're also hearing from President Trump, as I mentioned, a short time ago, as he posted on Truth Social. And I want to read this for you. It says, quote, Iran, which is being beat to hell, has apologized and surrendered to its Middle East neighbors and promised that it will not shoot at them anymore. This promise was only made because of the relentless U.S. and Israeli attack They were looking to take over and rule the Middle East. It is the first time that Iran has ever lost in thousands of years to surrounding Middle Eastern countries. They have said, "Thank you, President Trump." I have said, "You're welcome." Iran is no longer the bully of the Middle East. They are instead the loser of the Middle East and will be for many decades until they surrender or, more likely, completely collapse. Today, Iran will be hit very hard under serious consideration for complete destruction and certain death because of Iran's bad behavior. Are areas and groups of people that were not considered for targeting up until this moment in time. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. Again, the part that really sticks out right there, it echoes what we heard from Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent yesterday as he spoke with Fox News. President Trump right now in that quote saying, quote, "Today, Iran will be hit very hard."
And we already know that. And we already know that. And we just reported this number, too. U.S. forces have struck over 3,000 targets in the first week of Operation Epic Fury. And we are not slowing down coming from U.S. Central Command. We're moving on. We got so much to get through this morning. So now Trump reassigns Kristi Noem, as Mullen tapped for DHS. Let's go ahead and bring that up and let's go ahead and discuss it real quick. What's up, brother GEG? I see you down there. Great to see you in the chat, bro.
President Trump announced on Thursday that he had chosen Senator Markwayne Mullen, the Republican from Oklahoma, to be the next Secretary of Homeland Security. It is important to note that if he is confirmed, Mullen would replace Kristi Noem, who has led the agency through a broad amount of immigration crackdown all across the country. President Trump did announce that decision in a post on Truth Social. And so to talk a lot more about what happens behind the scenes on Capitol Hill when some of these announcements are made, I do want to bring into the conversation now Audrey Fahlberg, a political reporter.
Thank you, by the way, for moderating Zip Tie. I very much appreciate it.
With the National Review. Audrey, thanks so much for being with us here on Live Now from Fox.
Thanks so much for having me.
Well, I'm sure you have been following these storylines, maybe not as shocked as some of us here who are not positioned in Washington, D.C., listening to those conversations on Capitol Hill.
Yeah, Steve Easy, I'm not really sure what the deal is with people nowadays that can't just disagree, you know what I mean, and just keep it 100%. You're a man, I'm a man, keep it on that kind of level. For some reason, people are just insane. I think you have found that out.
But it was a bombshell moment as President Trump did announce on Truth Social that he would like to pull Kristi Noem as Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, instead then deciding to name Senator Markwayne Mullen. Can you sort of walk us through what that day was like, that announcement, and what information you learned in those ensuing minutes and hours?
Yeah, so this has been quite a whirlwind of a week for Kristi Noem. She's been she's been under fire for quite some time. The president and his team were not really pleased.
What's up, Crystal? Good to see you in the chat, by the way. Happy Monday morning.
With her handling of the fatal shootings involving federal immigration officers earlier this year. There was already some infighting between Noem, her top aide, Corey Lewandowski, and other DHS leaders like Todd Lyons, Tom Homan, and others. So there was already kind of that underlying tension. But when this really came to a head was earlier this week.
What's up, Todd J? Good morning.
Tuesday and Wednesday, she had hearings before the Senate and House Judiciary committees where she was pressed a lot of really tough questions from mostly Democrats, but a couple, Republican senators with really tough questions about this ad campaign, this $220 million ad campaign that featured her prominently. And so I first got the tip on Wednesday that the president was furious that she had suggested under oath that he had greenlit this ad campaign that featured her so prominently and, was paid for with taxpayer dollars. And so I also got the tip that he was so furious by that he was actually considering her replacing her. And one of those names that I heard was Markwayne Mullen. So I reported that Thursday morning, and a few hours later, lo and behold, he made the announcement. So that was kind of a wild moment to see, because sometimes the president will float things behind the scenes, but for him to, finally pick the senator it was just kind of wild how quickly that developed.
Absolutely. And I want to go into that.
And that's really, really all I needed to hear. Well, let's see if there's anything from Noam speaking here, or if it's just an image. It might just be an image.
I mean,
don't
where
know.
there's smoke, there's fire, and there's really something to this. So Democrats are already probing this very closely, and I would expect that to ratchet up long after she leaves this position. But Mullen is an interesting one to watch. I mean, Trump, I think politically, his thinking here was to pick a senator, somebody who could be easily confirmed, and then also he's from a red state. So, the thinking is, obviously he wouldn't want to go pick somebody from a battleground state where it would be kind of unsure if he would be replaced by another Republican. But Mullen is somebody who's been very loyal, not just to Trump, but also, he's a deputy Senate Republican whip, also so very close to Senate Republican leadership, very kind of powerful, well-connected guy, very close to the president. And one thing to watch, assuming he is confirmed, is I'm expecting, because there were those tensions between Noam and other DHS leaders, that he's going to be very deferential to people who are already inside the building. That's probably what we're going to see.
All right, sounds good. We got enough information out of that. We've got too much going on in the world to be hyper-focusing on Kristi Noem at the second. Now we've got an update as of a day ago. 6 U.S. Troops killed in strike brought home in dignified transfer. Let's go ahead and bring that up. And first, actually, you know what we need to do? We haven't done the money part yet. We haven't even done it. Let's go ahead and just get that over with.
All right, just get the money part done.
Give me money. Money me. Money now. Me a money needing a lot now.
True, though. That's true.
Denied.
But I still love you guys. Let's get into it. Let's go.
That dignified transfer is just now getting underway, taking you out to it now.
Let's go ahead and skip ahead a little bit. They're just doing the formal walkout, pay their respects. We're skipping ahead because we don't need to sit through and just watch them do this. We'll just kind of skip ahead as we go. Is there going to be any type of speech here? I'm skipping ahead. We're 18 minutes in, 20 minutes. Oh, look, there was the casket right there. There it is. All right, let's go ahead and see if there's going to be any other type of... Nope, there is not. All right, so you guys at least saw that was happening. Video shows massive flames and thick smoke engulfing Tehran, which is their capital, city, essentially. So let's go ahead and bring that up. Here we go.
Welcome back, everyone. Here to Live Now from Vox. I'm your host, Mike Page.
Wow, this is only 30 seconds.
Great to be with you on this Saturday evening as we continue to roll on the latest with the war in Iran as it continues to rage on. Take a look at the new video coming out this evening as
wow,
Israel
look at that
said
one.
that they were targeting.
I saw this, but I didn't know if it was real or not. I saw it on social media. I couldn't tell yet because it wasn't being reported by mainstream outlets or like big people in the media. It was just a video that I saw. I don't know if I saw that yesterday or I can't remember, but I did see this video and I was like, oh shit, if that's real, that's fucking crazy. And I guess it is.
The new video coming out this evening as Israel said that they were targeting oil fields today in Iran. This was...
Yeah, if you're striking oil, I mean, it's just going to go up like this, It's not just from the impact.
Just some of the many, many different types of videos that have been coming out in the recent hours. And we'll continue to talk about this and so much more here on Live Now.
And of course, so are we. So now let's go ahead and break it into another ordeal here, another sad story. This was breaking as of yesterday. U.S. service member dies after attack in Saudi Arabia amid Iran conflict. It says earlier reports this weekend indicate another U.S. service member has died amid ongoing military operations against Iran. This loss follows a recent attack in Saudi Arabia, according to the U.S. Central Command. So let's go ahead and bring this up, and we'll go ahead and discuss it briefly here. There we go.
All right, welcome back in here to Live Now from Fox.
Another quick update, by the way.
Mandy Mack, we're learning new developments right now about that Operation Epic Fury as another U.S. service member, a 7th U.S. service member, tragically losing their life, paying the ultimate sacrifice during this ongoing conflict in the Middle East. I want to put this up here from U.S. Central Command saying last night a U.S. service member passed away from injuries received during the Iranian regime's initial attacks across the Middle East. The service member was seriously wounded at the scene of an attack on U.S. troops in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia back on March the 1st at the outset of Operation Epic Fury. They say this is the 7th service member killed in action during the operation.
So we just reported on the 6th member that was, officially transferred over back to the United States, and now we've got official number of 7.
Fury major combat operations continue. The identity of the fallen warrior will be withheld until 24 hours after next of kin notification. So some developing stories out of there. We heard from the president saying some of those death tolls will unfortunately continue to rise. And earlier this weekend, we did see President Trump at the dignified transfer of 6 other U.S. service members that lost their lives during an attack in Kuwait. This was earlier this weekend here on Live Now from Fox of what was going on as those 6 U.S. service members, U.S. Army Reserve soldiers who were killed this week in Kuwait watched as their loved ones were brought home on Sunday during that dignified transfer at Dover Air Force Base in Delaware on Saturday. President Trump was joined by First Lady Melania Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance, and other top military officials observing this solemn event on an overcast afternoon. President Trump aboard Air Force One later on said, quote, "It's a very sad day," but he continued on saying, quote, "We're so proud of this. These such deaths are always a very sad day." Also,
of course, terrible fucking thing to be, have to report on. I hate doing that shit. All right, we have the new successor for the Supreme Leader. It's the Supreme Leader's son. Obviously, this is something we discussed on Friday. They said that this was probably most likely going to be who it is, and indeed it is, and now it's official. So let's go ahead and bring that up, and we'll discuss that as well really quick.
All right, welcome back in here to Live Now from Fox. I am Andy Mag. Day number 9 of the ongoing Operation Epic Fury. Some new information about exactly who's in charge following these U.S. and Israel airstrikes that took out the Supreme Leader, as we're hearing from Reuters, as they have.
Real quick, Cowman, I've been watching that story pretty heavily recently, and I've come to my own conclusion that we did do it as the United States. The school 10 years prior used to be a part of like actual military, part of the military base and operations there. Well, I think that the United States didn't do their due diligence and figure out, 10 years ago it changed to a school. Now, here's the thing. Call it dumb or call it whatever you guys want, but look at even our military bases. We have military bases across the world. And guess what? There are schools on those military bases. Call it dumb, call it whatever you guys want, but that is a reality. So anyways, it's a total sad situation. And I truly hope that the United States actually is transparent and takes accountability for the fuck ups that do happen. I do absolutely agree with that. So when it comes to war, you have to be transparent.
Elected the Ayatollah's son to be in charge. You can see this from Reuters' Phil Stewart here on this Sunday, saying a senior Iranian clerk involved in the vote to choose a new supreme leader indicated the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei's son, Mojtaba, will be the successor, although a formal announcement was awaited after Israel threatened whoever was chosen. The comment by the Ayatollah, a member of the Assembly of Experts, follows growing expectation that Mojtaba, a hardline cleric of his father, would be named as supreme leader, a position giving him the final say on all matters in the state of the Islamic Republic, the IRGC. It goes on to say, if
we got TNT in the building. Shout out to my man. Good morning and happy Monday.
Confirmed, the move could draw the ire of the United States President Donald Trump, who has said he should have a role in the choice.
I totally fucked up. I got a Cash App and I didn't read it right away. So I apologize. I'm 9 minutes late to it, by the way. Brother Lee Lance coming in with the $5 saying for the dues, man, I very much appreciate you.
Stop the cap.
Can't stop capping. I very much appreciate you making it rain in the Cash App, bro. Thank you very much for that.
Of the next leader, a demand Iran has roundly rejected.
What's up, Aaron? Good morning to you. Happy Monday. Hopefully you're doing well. Great to see you in the chat, bro.
Of Khamenei will continue. This from the assemblyman said in a video published in Iranian media as Israel expanded strikes on Iran to include fuel depots, and Bahrain blamed Iran for a strike on the desalination plant. The vote has been cast and will be announced soon without providing further details. But this is a major development in the ongoing conflict there as they have selected a new supreme leader as they are close to making potentially that announcement public. And Israel, the Defense Force, has vowed to, quote, pursue every successor and every person.
What's up, Brennan Smith? Good morning.
Who seeks to appoint a successor. President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu have both pledged to continue to hit Iran hard. And while it wasn't necessarily amongst the main objectives of the United States, those main goals were to take out ballistic missile sites as well as limit their nuclear capabilities. Obviously, this on the forefront of the president, as he has noted that he would hope to have a say in exactly who comes next with the head of the Islamic Republic.
Well, not just that, but Trump wanted to say, and so did Benjamin Netanyahu.
There, but potentially the son of Khamenei, the supreme leader, now chosen as his successor. But we also noted that the United States and Israel will continue to hit Tehran hard. We saw some video last night of some fuel and oil refineries being struck, as Israel saying that these were being used by military assets. We're also hearing from lawmakers back here at home saying that they hope the United States, the White House, continues to hammer that region. Also learning new information right now as another U.S. service member are tragically losing their lives during this ongoing conflict, bringing the total now to 7. This from Central Command talking about an update. A U.S. service member passed away from the injuries received during the Iranian regime's initial attacks across the Middle East.
Now, that's the one that I reported on earlier that happened in Saudi Arabia.
The service member was seriously wounded at the scene of an attack on the U.S. troops in the United Kingdom, or the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, on March the 1st. This is the 7th service member.
So, and then he died 7 days later. He succumbed to his injuries and suffered for 7 days.
Killed in action during Operation Epic Fury. The major combat operations will continue. The identity of the fallen warrior will be withheld until 24 hours after next of kin were notified. And this also comes some 24 hours or so after we saw this, the dignified transfer of those 6 U.S. service members back at home at Dover Air Base there, as President Trump in attendance along with First Lady Melania Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance, and other officials on the ground there back in the United States. They were deployed from Iowa. So obviously we'll potentially see another dignified transfer a little bit later on. President Trump saying that number might grow. I do want to put up a post from Lindsey Graham, the Republican senator from South Carolina, talking about this like everyone.
Man, Lindsey Graham is he is annoying as shit, dude. I can't stand that motherfucker when he starts talking.
And I am heartbroken to hear of another fallen service member as a result of Operation Epic Fury, which was designed to end the Iranian regime's reign of terror on the world. Just as with the other fallen, these brave Americans paid the ultimate sacrifice to take down one of the most barbaric regimes in the world. This is a reminder of the steep cost of freedom and being able to live without fear. May God keep all the fallen close and heal the wounded. All right, let's continue on, though. You're on Live Now from Fox. We're watching here a live picture in Tel Aviv in Israel on this Sunday. All right, a live picture there in Tel Aviv.
TNT, she's doing a little bit better. She has been transferred, but we don't have like immense amount of backstory or knowledge currently, but we do know that she is doing somewhat better.
Israel here on this Sunday, heading into Monday, as we're learning new information about this, as there might be a new supreme leader.
Well, my big problem with with Lindsey Graham, Steve Easy. I truly think he's a warmonger. You know what I mean?
According to Iranian state TV, the successor to the Ayatollah Khamenei will be his son, Majtaba. This potentially a big development, as President Trump has said he wants a hand in exactly who will lead that nation moving forward. Again, this from Phil Stewart from Reuters talking about this. And we're also getting new information and some images potentially of this here as Iranian state TV say Majtaba Khamenei, the late son of the supreme leader, has been named his successor.
So it's official now. Now it's out to the public. There it is. This is the official post over there in Iran that he is the new successor.
Big developments, as the Israeli Defense Force also said they will pursue every successor and every person who seeks to appoint a successor. This comes after last week
What are you talking
initial, collaboration.
You talking about this? Yeah, I already shouted this out. What are you talking about? I said, how come it shows you're a new member? And then I said, oh, wait, probably because you switch cards, payment method. You didn't hear me say that? Motherfucker. Anyways.
States and Israel to take out the Ayatollah and many leaders around him in a strike there in the heart of Tehran.
So let's go ahead and we're also going to follow all of this very closely. Let's go ahead and bring this up a little bit about gas prices here continue to rise amid Iran conflict.
As we continue to follow all of the developments in terms of the escalating conflict on the ground in the Middle East, we are also tracking all of the impacts that it's having globally, specifically when it has to do with the prices of oil and how consumers are going to be seeing and feeling that impact. Joining us live now is going to be Melanie Allwood with our team at Fox 5 in D.C.
What's up, Bonsai? Hopefully you're enjoying the morning so far.
Melanie, I know that you have some changes to report in terms of prices at the pump.
That's right. So what's happening, of course, a lot of analysts watching carefully the futures market. The price of a barrel of oil now topping $100 a barrel. And that is sort of that benchmark. As once we go above that, people are really going to start to feel it in their pockets. And that's because, obviously, that all trickles down to gas prices. Now, we know that in the last week alone, the price went up 50 cents a gallon for regular.
Dude, there's some parts in California. Now, it's not all of California, but there are certain parts of California, including one in downtown Los Angeles, that is $8 a gallon, bro, for gas right now. I saw that shit last night. I was like, holy fuck. Now, when I left California under Biden, it was, at the worst, it was like $7.20 or whatever. That's how much it was for gas at the time.
Regular gas retail, and we're looking at this. They're saying if these future jumps hold, they're looking at a possible 30% price spike even just today. And they say that would be the largest percentage-wise increase in oil futures ever. So what we're seeing here, the national price is now about $3.45 a gallon. We're in Manassas, Virginia, a little below the national average. But of course, so much of this varies depending from one side of the street to the other, even what you pay.
What's up, brother Hardwire? Good to see you in the chat, bro. Hopefully you're enjoying your Monday morning.
For your state and local taxes as well, but no doubt that this is a problem for people and that it's going to be getting worse before it gets better. We do know that pain at the pump is not only a problem for people who are trying to get to work and back and do their jobs, but it's also a big problem politically for the current administration.
Shit, what's up, yo mama's house? Good morning.
Whoever happens to be in power when these gas prices spike. High oil prices creep into the cost of a lot of other goods and services, especially things brought to market by trucking, diesel fuel. Airfare could also start to rise as well with spikes in the cost of jet fuel. Now, the Trump administration says it is working to ensure safe passage for oil tankers and other commercial trade that currently are not getting through that Strait of Hormuz amid all of the violence in the Middle East right now. The Trump administration also says that they are working to negotiate more oil supplies from Venezuela, but none none of this is sure yet. Democrats say this economic pain was completely avoidable. The U.S. Energy Secretary, the messaging now from the Department of Energy telling Americans to be patient, that they are working on this, and they're saying that gas prices could fall within a few weeks. But of course, this all depends on how things go with that campaign in the Middle East. Now, we're not at those 2022 levels yet, when there were supply issues and the war in Ukraine, and we had some pipeline issues as well, and those prices spiked to above $4 a gallon on average in the United States. And as we know, some people in higher cost states paying well more than that. However, the pace
Be good out there, brother TVT. I see that you're headed out. We'll see you on the flip side, my man.
of the increase that we're seeing right now is really what's concerning those oil analysts and AAA and others like Gas Buddy, saying that we could see some pretty painful prices in the next few days to come.
All right, and so we also have an update on oil prices soaring as Iran names new supreme leader, and oil prices have now surpassed $100 a barrel, which is terrible because we're used to kind of being somewhere in the like the $55 to $70 range per barrel, but now we're above 100. So.
Another major headline, of course, that we're following closely has to do with the fact that Iran has chosen a new supreme leader. So we're taking a look here at a social media post from a reporter courtesy of Reuters. Phil Stewart says this, that Iran names Khamenei's son, Mojtaba, as new supreme leader, a state media report. Iran's Assembly of Experts has named him to replace his father as the country's new supreme leader. Again, state media reported that on Sunday. So a lot to get to.
Good morning, Mark. Great to see you in the chat, bro. Good morning.
In terms of where this conflict is right now, to do that, I'd like to bring into the conversation now Jonathan Sayeh. He is the Foundation for the Defense of Democracy's Iran Program research analyst. Jonathan, good morning. Good to see you.
Hi, great to be with you again.
So a lot of developments over the weekend, and we're going to touch on all of them. The first one has to be this. The new supreme leader named in Iran. We've been following this for the last several days. We thought it would be Khamenei's son. So really, what comes next in terms of this political dynamic? How's it going to change how operations are being handled right now?
What's up, brother Bob up there in Canada? Good morning to you. Great to see you in the chat, by the way. Happy Monday.
I do remember speaking with you about this about a week ago. So it's interesting that it was this predictable for us to know that Supreme Leader succession is going to pursue the hereditary path. That's something that the Islamic Republic objected to, even founded an Islamic revolution against any sort of hereditary succession. And look where they are right now. So it has really two major implications. Number one, it implies that the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, which is...
You know what actually should be implied right now is we have 437 people in here. Make sure you guys hit that like button. If you're on the vertical side, make sure you guys double tap the screen. I appreciate you guys. Listen, I know there's a lot of craziness happening around the world. You don't have to like it for that reason. You can like it for me and what we do here. So thank you for that.
The main ideological and military wing of the Islamic Republic, the same entity that has been leading the war efforts against the United States, has again prevailed to shape Iran's internal politics. Because without the IRGC support, the supreme leader could not have been chosen. We know for a fact that they have elections, I guess, on paper, but we know what happens behind the scenes, the influence of the armed forces. So that's really one. And two, you have to look at Mojtaba as a person. You know, he embodies all the values that his father preached and all the malign characteristics of the Islamic Republic. He's a well-known kleptocrat with a financial empire. He has great ties to the repression forces that have killed and brutalized the Iranians. He has influenced Iranian politics to shape them the way he wants them to be conducted, and many other pillars.
What's up, Sam from South Africa? Shout out to you.
So when you look at it and you have to
good afternoon to you.
How the Washington-Tehran relationship is going to
and Bill Castle, good morning.
Look like, by no means an improvement, because if anything, he might even be more hardline than his father on some of these stances. We know how close he is with certain wings of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. So by no means is Tehran suggesting compromise over escalation right now. The message is very clear to the United States that Iran will not be providing concessions of any sorts during this war period.
You know what's interesting, Jonathan, is that even though we had pretty much predicted, and really several experts, that this was going to be the path of succession here for the new Iranian supreme leader, I was under the impression that you know, now Moshtaba does have a target on his back, so they were being a little hesitant in naming him as
My man, Virginia Chaos as well. Happy Monday morning, brother. Hopefully you're enjoying yourself.
as the successor. So what does that tell us about how important it is to actually have a supreme leader established there in Iran?
It is crucial. And Moshtaba is not going to be the only one with a target on his back. Anyone.
You know what? Both Iran and the United States are actually all three. Israel, Iran, and the United States. They need to embrace their fuck-ups.
Don't beat yourself up over past mistakes. You are going to fuck up again in the future, quite possibly in a most spectacular fashion. Why worry about yesterday's fuck-ups when you have tomorrow's fuck-ups to look forward to? You are a fuck-up, and fucking up is part of your growth process. Embrace the process.
I'm in my zen. Now we're ready to go. We've embraced.
If they were to be selected as supreme leader, would have to go through the same threats. And again, these the threats of elimination and targeted assassination is not limited just to the supreme leader apparatus. It goes beyond that. All of them are in hiding effectively. So that was not going to change regardless. As to what it really tells us about how internal politics works in the Islamic Republic. So as we noted, we talked.
Shit, real quick, we got my man Black Dragon coming in with the raid. Let's freaking go, man. I very much appreciate you, Black Dragon. Hopefully you enjoying your morning as well as all of your people. Hopefully you guys enjoy. This is what we do Monday through Friday, by the way. Hit that subscribe button. We talk about world news, geopolitics, and American news, American politics, all that great stuff. And we consolidate everything into a single hour onto, from the last 24 hours. If not, of course, Monday morning. We don't report anything on Sunday or Saturday because we've got members only for Saturday. We don't talk about members or the world craziness, you know what I mean? So, listen, we're consolidating all the shit leading up from this last weekend coming up to now. And, we're talking about oil prices that are right now $100 a barrel, over $100 a barrel at this point. And we're actually used to having anywhere from like $50 to $70 for per barrel right now. So anyways, thank you guys for hanging out with us.
About the role of the IRGC in all this. But at the end of the day, given that it's an ideological and theocratic state, the Islamic Republic still wants a religious or a cleric to legitimize military.
Oh shit, Virginia Chaos is gifting out a couple memberships, my man. I very much appreciate that, by the way. Thank you for making it rain in the chat. And listen, you're not only helping me, but you're helping two others in the IWF, man. So thank you for that.
Rule. So this is not to say a role of a cleric or an ayatollah is going to diminish the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps' role in the politics. It more so justifies it because now the armed forces can point to a theocrat and say it is because of this entity that my rule is legitimate because I'm defending the Islamist values that is preached by the clergy. So that's a crucial thing there. It's mostly for internal purposes and really for the support base outside of Iran, because we have to remember so many of the followers of the Islamic Republic have ideological leanings, and because of that they want to see a spiritual leader as much as they want to see a military leader. So it's two roles that the supreme leader has to fulfill amongst many other things. But again, this is really not to say that for some reason his rule is going to be able to override the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps.
For anyone new here, the channel name is Insane Wheels, and the F stands for family, so Insane Wheels family.
But it tells us that the regime does not at least overtly want to appear as a military dictatorship. They still want to maintain this facade that they're somehow pursuing or advancing an Islamist agenda worldwide.
Jonathan, on the screen, I've had these live looks out of there in Beirut. So this is the scene right now, but I do want to show some of these images that we had earlier on today. So for any of our viewers that are tuning in now, you're going to pay attention to the left-hand side of your screen here. You can see a blast there and a strike. You're going to see a lot of smoke coming up as well. This brings me back to some major developments from over the weekend, Jonathan, in terms of the fact that Iran has conducted this was an Israeli strike, though, I believe, because this is there in Beirut. And we know that.
Yeah, we're not involved in Beirut yet. I really hope that we don't get involved at all. I mean, we shouldn't be involved in Iran right now, but let alone up there dealing with Hezbollah up there in Lebanon.
Israeli military targeting Hezbollah infrastructure. So that's specifically this feed. But going back to some of the operations for Iran, we saw them also conduct strikes against several Gulf nations. I want to get some background context to this, Jonathan. When it comes to how Iran is approaching this, and we look at history, does it surprise you to see that Iran is also conducting strikes against all of these Gulf nations as well? And how is that affecting the relationship at the moment?
It surprised me with certain countries, but the strategy as a whole is something that Tehran has threatened for decades. They've repeatedly stated that should there be a war against the Islamic Republic, the implications of that conflict is going to spread throughout the region, and they threaten even throughout the world. So that has been their strategy, to inflict as much cost as possible against their adversaries, to create an image of chaos and really ensure that any war would lead to so much instability in the region, would implicate the energy market to the extent that it would deter the continuation of that attack by the adversary. That said, that has not played out with how the Islamic Republic wanted.
What's up, brother? Extra surprise. Good morning to you. Great to see you in the chat.
So we have to really narrow down whom the Islamic Republic is targeting in this particular context. Some, of course, are evidently adversaries of the regime. You're talking about, for example, Saudi Arabia, UAE to a great extent. Of course, some of these states have never been necessarily overtly hostile to Iran in the last few years. But that said, they were far from partners. They were certainly rivals. But then it really comes down to two countries I'm thinking about, Qatar and Turkey.
Yeah, Black Dragon, we've got 400 people in total between the two streams right now. We have the vertical stream and we have the horizontal stream. So there's two on, just like you've been doing, BD. So anyways.
And actually third one would be Azerbaijan. These three states, not only have they not really put pressure on the Islamic Republic. I know they have their own competition in other areas, but if you look at what Doha and Ankara did, Turkey and Qatar, they both actually sought to facilitate talks between Tehran and Washington. They were really lobbying against any attack on the Islamic Republic here in DC. So to see that how they were bombed, although they were the ones that were trying to mediate between the two, I think even threw them off as well. You see what the Qataris stated recently, saying we felt.
By the way, when he says Qatar, I don't know why they say it like that. I don't know why people, I mean, some people say that that's correct, but I'm just like, listen, everyone knows it by Qatar, okay? Not Qatar. Anyways, just little things that bug me.
Backstab. We felt betrayed by the Islamic Republic. So it has two major implications. One, Iran is dragging neutral states.
You know, I haven't actually heard that, Virginia Chaos. I haven't heard that.
Into the conflict. But going beyond that, it is actually turning friends against it. Not to call these two countries allies of Iran. But that said, they were strategic partners. They cooperated a lot in numerous fronts, diplomatically, terror financing, money laundering. But all of a sudden, they find themselves being targets of the regime aggression. And that by no means is helpful, and it's going to further isolate Tehran.
Another country that I want to focus on here in this discussion is Oman, because we know that recently Omani mediators were the ones that were trying to get down to a deal between the U.S. and Iran over its nuclear program. Oman, another country that...
You know, I'm going to let this last question go, but then we've got to get into something that's happening here locally that happened today. NYC officials address IEDs found outside Gracie Mansion. So we're going to get to that here after this question gets answered.
It's been caught in the crossfires. Is Oman still trying to have diplomatic channels in the background? Are they trying to de-escalate? How have they responded to this?
Surprisingly, they still are. Of course, they have not been struck as aggressively as other countries. But that said, Oman was the main mediator. I mean, it is the Switzerland of the Middle East in terms of diplomacy, at least. Very neutral, does not get involved in anything, always facilitates talks, does not have an aggressive foreign policy in any capacity. Still, they were attacked. And what's really notable is that comparing the statements coming from Omani officials versus Qatari and Saudi Arabian officials, even though they were bombed, despite their efforts, they're still trying to facilitate talks, which really you have to ask yourself, do they not recognize that this regime is not only is not acting on rational ideologies, but really is pursuing religious zealot-like agenda. You can't really treat some of these diplomats as if they're representing a normal country. The role of ideology here cannot be undermined. So I think we're all surprised to see how Oman is still appeasing the regime in Tehran.
Jonathan, then that begs the question, is Iran still possibly trying to balance?
No, we're not going to do that. Let's go ahead and move into, before we get back into the Iran conflict and oil prices. First, we're going to talk about NYC officials address IEDs found outside Gracie Mansion. Let's go ahead and bring that up. And, but you know what? Again, because what we're doing here today, again, everybody, you must embrace your fuck-ups. This includes Iran, this includes Israel, and the United States.
Don't beat yourself up over past mistakes. You are going to fuck up again in the future, quite possibly in a most spectacular fashion. Why worry about yesterday's fuck-ups when you have tomorrow's fuck-ups to look forward to? You are a fuck-up, and fucking up is part of your growth process. Embrace the process.
Today is all about embracing the process. That's what we're doing here today. All right, let's go ahead and get into this. 3, 2, 1.
New York City Mayor Mamdani is speaking live at the podium. Let's listen in.
White supremacy entitled Stop the Islamic Takeover of New York City.
Good morning, Dirty. Great to see you in the chat, by the way. Happy Monday morning.
I'm the first Muslim mayor of our city. Anti-Muslim bigotry is nothing new to me, nor is it anything new for the 1 million or so Muslim New Yorkers who know this city as our home. While I found this protest appalling, I will not waver in my belief that it should be allowed to happen. Ours is a free society where the right to peaceful protest is sacred. It does not belong only to those we agree with. It belongs to everyone. I will defend that right every day that I am mayor, even when those protesting say things that I abhor. Let me also be clear about something else. New York City will never tolerate violence, whether from protests or counter-protests. Many of the counter-protesters met this display of bigotry peacefully, with a vision of a city that is welcoming to all. But a few did not. 2 men, Amir Balat and Ibrahim Qayyumi, traveled from Pennsylvania and attempted to bring violence to New York City. They are suspected of coming here to commit an act of terrorism. There is video of these 2 individuals throwing 2 devices towards the protest. The police department has determined that these were improvised explosive devices made to injure, maim, or worse. Thanks to the swift and decisive actions of NYPD officers at the scene, both men were immediately taken into custody, and the devices they brought taken off of our streets. I want to commend the officers who were on site. They faced a chaotic situation that very quickly could have become far more dangerous. NYPD Chief Aaron Edwards and Sergeant Luis Navarro ran towards the danger so that others could run to safety. They are here with us now, and I want to thank them today publicly as I did yesterday privately, and to thank the dozens of other officers who responded without hesitation. That is courage, that is selflessness, and I'm deeply grateful to both of them and to every member of the NYPD who works every single day to keep New Yorkers safe. As the NYPD continued their investigation yesterday, they found a 3rd suspicious device in a vehicle on East End between 81st and 82nd Street. Out of an abundance of caution, they conducted a number of limited evacuations of nearby buildings before removing the device from the area. Once the device was removed, those evacuated were allowed to return to their homes. I am grateful for their continued work to keep New Yorkers safe. And let me say this plainly. Anyone who comes to New York City to bring violence to our streets will be held accountable in accordance with the law. As this case continues to develop, I will remain in close contact and communication with our police commissioner. I want to say thank you once again to everyone who acted on Saturday.
Yo, Starlight, I very much appreciate the 100 joules, by the way, for 2 joules, 100, whatever the currency is. I very much appreciate that. Thank you for making it rain on the vertical side.
To protect their fellow New Yorkers and to uphold the values of this city. Now, I would like to invite Police Commissioner Tisch to say a few words.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning, everyone. First, I will tell you that we are not at liberty to discuss many aspects of the ongoing investigation at this.
She is wearing an Israeli necklace. Just saying.
Time, due to the
not surprising. It's New York, you know.
Prosecution. The suspects here, Amir Balat and Ibrahim Kayumi, are going to be prosecuted in federal court here in Manhattan, and a complaint will set forth criminal charges and the factual allegations supporting those charges. After that complaint is made public, which I expect to occur later today, I will be able to say much more about the investigation and what we have.
I very much appreciate you hitting that subscribe and the like, by the way. Yes, we have over 400 people in total. Make sure you guys double tap that screen and hit that like button. Thank you, guys.
Learned in this case, but it is crucial that we respect that process and not get ahead of it. That being said, I can confirm that I can confirm this morning that this is being investigated as an act of ISIS.
It's like my whole StreamYard's frozen. Whoa, what the fuck? There we go.
East End Avenue
and yeah, you know what I meant, Black Dragon. You know what I meant, Star David. You know what I meant.
East 87th Street, and the other on the west side of East End Avenue between East 86th and East 87th Streets. That testing was performed by the NYPD's bomb squad and FBI special agent bomb technicians in consultation with an FBI chemist. Preliminary test results determined that these were not hoax devices nor smoke bombs. They were improvised explosive devices that could have caused serious injury or death. Part of our initial investigation was to determine what energetic substance, if any, was used in the two devices. And our analysis showed that one of the devices deployed by the subjects contained the substance triacetone triperoxide, known as TATP. Now, TATP is a dangerous and highly volatile homemade explosive that has been used in IED attacks around the world. Our bomb squad then rendered safe both devices. And as of now, explosive evidence samples are being sent to an FBI lab for further testing. Our investigation also led our detectives to a vehicle that was tied to the suspects.
Be good out there, Brother Frank. We'll see you on the flip side.
Yesterday afternoon, patrol officers found that car, a black 2010 Honda with New Jersey plates on East End Avenue between East 81st Street and East 82nd Street. Using a robot, the NYPD's bomb squad was able to find another possible suspicious device and materials inside the car consistent with the first two explosive devices, and the area was immediately frozen and cleared. A limited evacuation of certain floors and certain nearby buildings was conducted while the officers secured the vehicle and removed this third device, which was transported to Rodman's Neck for further testing. This third device tested negative for explosive material. Once the scene was secure and deemed safe, residents were allowed to return to their homes. Now, we have been in a heightened state of alert in New York City since the start of hostilities in Iran, and we remain in that posture today. We will continue to deploy additional counterterrorism resources throughout New York City, including heavy weapons teams, K-9 units, aviation, and more. The NYPD is vigilant and determined in our...
Okay, yeah. Sure. All right. You guys know that that's happening. That happened today, by the way. Okay, so again, we were talking about oil prices a little bit earlier, about how oil prices have now soared up to above $100 per barrel. So let's go ahead and bring that up, and we'll discuss it briefly. And then we have our last story after that regarding the Iran conflict.
Taking a look next here at a social media post courtesy of the Associated Press. It says this: breaking oil prices soared past $114 per barrel for the first time since 2022 on Monday as the Iran war intensified, threatening production and shipping in the Middle East. A lot to get to in terms of where this is headed next. So to do that, I'd like to bring into the...
Yes, sir, a little bit, just by a little bit today, Virginia Chaos.
Conversation now.
Thank you for that.
Rockford Weitz, he is a professor of practice of maritime studies at the Fletcher School at Tufts University. Rockford, good morning. Thanks for joining.
You're welcome.
So I know that you're following this very closely. A lot of people concerned because they are seeing those prices shift there at the pump. But let's start with this. How much of this current spike in prices is really driven by the disruption there to the Strait of Hormuz, or versus what people expect could happen in the coming days as this war intensifies?
Great question. I think most of it is related to
You too, Mark. Always appreciate you.
the temporary disruption in the Strait of Hormuz and the fact that the marine insurance was temporarily unavailable as the markets were trying to figure out how to price everything from a marine insurance perspective. And therefore, the oil traders who pay close attention to that, I used to be an oil trader, so that they would also price in. It looks to me like it's a short-term price spike, and over the long term, it looks better, just looking at oil futures this morning. But there's a lot of uncertainty in how long it takes to effectuate change in Iran's government, whatever that looks like. It's a little unclear to me exactly what the end game is. But there's a lot of uncertainty. But if you look at where the oil prices are, certainly like, the longer term ones, it's back down to 70. So I think it's going to be short term.
That's interesting. And I want to talk about maritime insurance in just a second here, just to give an overview to some of our viewers here. Before we do that, though, I want to bring us out to this. It's a live radar look that we actually have over at the Strait of Hormuz. So putting it up here on the screen.
Yeah, you know what's funny about it, Black Dragon, is I've never streamed my main show ever to TikTok, ever. Never once. Not even a single time.
And just some more background context for our viewers, Rockford. So for anyone who doesn't really follow maritime trade closely, why is the Strait of Hormuz so critical to the global oil market?
Okay, great. Well, this is right up my alley. I've been studying what are called strategic maritime choke points for now 25 years. And so the Strait of Hormuz is considered the most important maritime choke point for the exports of liquefied natural gas and crude oil. And so moving, essentially, if you're looking at the screen here, the map, moving from the Persian Gulf or Arabian Gulf, depending on what you call it, out into through the Arabian Sea to the Indian Ocean.
Listen, they always pack like a nice little snack mix bag and all that shit ready for like car snacks and all sorts of travel snacks. Like, dude, ready to rock and roll.
And then the Indo-Pacific are liquefied natural gas flows. Qatar is the largest exporter of liquefied natural gas. Mostly goes to China, Japan, South Korea, Singapore, and others in Pacific Asia. But also a lot of crude oil exports from Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Iran as well, and the Gulf Cooperation Council countries that also.
Oh man, my brother Virginia Chaos coming in hot on the Cash App, by the way, saying for the overtime pay for Mike. My man, thank you very much for making it rain in the Cash App, brother. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much for that.
Goes from the Gulf into the Arabian Sea and Indian Ocean and beyond, and then it goes through actually another important Strait of Malacca. Now coming into the Strait of Hormuz are a lot of food, manufactured goods. Mostly all of this is coming in on container ships, and it goes to Dubai and other container ports in the world. So roughly about 20% of oil flows pass through the Strait of Hormuz on a daily basis. So it's very important, and I'm happy to elaborate on any of that.
And we will be elaborating on that. This is just a map that I wanted to bring up here for our viewers as well, just to give more points here as to really what we're talking about and give people a visual. Now, Rockford, that you have explained how important and why it's so important, the Strait of Hormuz, when it comes to some of this traffic, global shipping, oil, and stuff like that. If tankers need to avoid that.
Look, real quick. If it looks like a fupa, eat it like a chalupa. Shit.
Bruh.
Are there any routes that they can take actually to just bypass all of that and make sure that their shipments do get to their intended destinations?
This is the great differentiator of the Strait of Hormuz from the Bab el-Mandeb and the Red Sea and the Suez Canal. There are alternatives to the Red Sea. That shipping was disrupted by the Houthis, an Iranian proxy group, last year, as I'm sure you know. The Strait of Hormuz does not have that alternative from a maritime perspective. It does have pipelines that cross Saudi Arabia.
Desert. There's two ways to pronounce it. Some people pronounce it Qatar, and some people pronounce it Qatar. I've always heard it and pronounced it myself as Qatar, but people argue it. They're like, no, it's how you actually say it. Like, I don't know, whatever.
Some pipelines that cross from the Gulf Coast of the UAE to its Arabian Sea coast, which is Fujairah. And you see a lot of oil tankers sitting off of Fujairah. That's normal. It's a very popular docking place for them to refuel and also to get food for the crew. And so that map you showed earlier showed a huge amount of oil tankers sitting just outside of the Strait of Hormuz. There's also a large group of oil tankers sitting inside off the coast of Dubai in the UAE. So you can see those in red on the map there. So they're waiting for the marine insurance coverage to come into place.
Yeah, happiness right now. Last night I saw in certain parts of California, one being in downtown Los Angeles, it was $8 a gallon at one certain gas station. Now, I'm sure the average down there is probably, if I had to guess, maybe from $6 to $7 right now, if I had to guess. But yeah, at one place at least was over $8.
Moving through Lloyd's of London, that's what I wrote my PhD dissertation about, actually. So that's all happening right now through the markets, and they're also probably going to wait and see what happens today. As far as kind of how the week starts from a kinetic perspective with the U.S. and Israel, and even some of the Gulf Cooperation Council countries, defending attacks from Iran on the Strait of Hormuz.
This is that live radar map, Rockford, that you were referencing there within that last answer. So you're saying that here in the red is a bunch of ships and stuff, some of these tankers that are just placed there and they cannot move. Okay, interesting. Thank you so much for providing this context and perspective. It's kind of hard to see.
So they're not allowed, they're not even allowed to move.
Details because, it's so zoomed out, but I really appreciate that.
They're all anchored up, I'm assuming, at that point. So anyways, let's go ahead and get into our last story here, regards to the Iran conflict. It's a little story. It's only a minute long, actually. So they have identified the man that died over there in Saudi Arabia.
This is from Fox News stating that a 7th U.S. service member has been killed in the Iran conflict and has now been identified as 26-year-old Sergeant Benjamin Pennington of Kentucky. So we did want to share that breaking news with you here on Live Now from Fox as we continue to follow all of those developments. And I also did want to share this with you. This is just another photograph of Sergeant Benjamin Pennington of Kentucky as he has now been identified as the 7th individual who has lost his life in the line of duty in Operation Epic Fury.
May all of them rest in peace, man.
Meantime, this is from Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear stating, quote, Kentucky, I am sad to share. We just received news that Sergeant Benjamin Pennington from Glendale has died due to injuries from an Iranian attack. Sergeant Pennington is a hero who sacrificed everything serving our country. Please join Brittany and me as we pray for his family and our fellow Kentuckians during this difficult time.
Man, all right. So, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up for our morning. I can't thank each and every single one of you guys enough. Obviously, I cannot do this shit without you guys and your guys' support. You guys hitting that like button, double tapping that screen if you're on the vertical side. Listen, we're going to be back tomorrow morning for more of the World's Madness. Thank you all again. Listen, we're going to be rating our buddy Chaotic Truth, so make sure you guys stick around for that. Let them know we're coming through with the Mike Ball / Insane Wheels raid. And listen, much love, honor, respect, everybody. God bless everyone. We'll see you guys very soon, and stay safe out there. Much love.
From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges, a host with a